You may have been called to serve in the second seat, to lead from the second chair, to be an individual that serves second, but you're not really sure how to be your authentic self, the real you, the person without the mask. Family, this episode is just for you. Today, I welcome Mrs. Patty Hampton, the author of Leading from the Second Seat. She's a transformational leadership coach, a speaker, and co-founder of New Soul Partners. Patty has spent years helping leaders understand the influence they carry, the mark that they leave, and the responsibility that comes with leading from a place that may not always get the spotlight. You see, her work speaks directly to leaders who are trusted with execution, culture, strategy, and support, even when they're not the final decision maker. This conversation is for every second chair leader who's ever wondered, does my role really matter? Patty helps us see that the second seat is not just a holding place, it is a strategic place of influence, formation, and most importantly, impact. Today, we're going to talk about owning your leadership voice, building trust with the leader that you serve, and shaping a legacy from right where you are. This is the Serving Second podcast. Let's dive in. Well, Patty, welcome to the Serving Second podcast. I'm so excited that we have a chance to connect today. How are you doing?
Thank you.
Good, good, good. Listen, for our audience that may not have an opportunity to be familiar with your work, how did you get involved in dealing with second seat leaders? Tell us the journey of how Patty got here.
Thank you. So, long story short, I should say, I met my business partner in a cab ride, and that was in 2000. And I had already served as a leader in other organizations, but for 25 plus years, just serving with Lisa Brown Alexander, my former business partner. And when I met her in a cab ride, I was literally going to be leaving a leadership role where I was no longer happy. And not only that, I knew that God had served in a way in my life that I was there for 10 months. And it was time for me to go. You just can sense it, you can feel it, everything. And so I lead from my heart. So you'll probably hear that a lot from me. Um, but for 24 years, I was Lisa's co-pilot. She called me her co-founder. I never took that lightly at all. But it was the best seat in the world, is probably the best way to say it. Um, and that's where I got the majority of my leadership skills, and also being able to work directly with executive leaders and boards across the country as we were building the firm. That was like a huge blessing for me. At the time, I was involved in not just building the firm, but also started the executive search practice, the staffing practice, and everything just kept going up, up, up for me there in that type of a role. But that's really how I got my start, just working with associations through the consulting firm. We provided consulting services to nonprofits and social enterprises across the country. And it's a space that I love even to today. I love the space of supporting nonprofits because that's where I grew up as well. And I just kept that journey going. And now with me, with my first book that came out October 13th of
Yes, ma'am.
last year, My mother passed away, and it literally launched on her birthday. She passed away in 2021, and so it was divine intervention for sure. And I wrote Leading from the Second Seat. It's more of a guide than anything else. It's my stories that you see that are written there. And it's my journey as a leader and how I served from a second seat for 24 plus years at nonprofit HR. But it's also my journey with respect to what I know transformational leadership is and what it should be. So, you're probably the first to know, other than what I've written, some clues that I'm starting my second book,
All right.
as well. And it's called Transformational Leadership Journey, the interviews. So starting actually in July, I'll be starting to interview people from across the country, and then once I travel over to Europe, I'll interview people in person as well. So really excited. Long story, but that is my journey, and that's how I really got my footing.
So, and this is, I love the story, the idea of we're in a cab ride, find a business partner. I don't know if that happens too often, but focusing on those 24 years, and I really first want to affirm you for the book Leading from the Second Seat and just being able to navigate that journey. What was it in those first couple years that you said, I could see myself doing this? I really kind of get into a groove as serving in the second seat.
Yeah, so I was never chosen to serve from the first seat. It's probably the best way to say it. And I had always started my career as an assistant to an executive. I learned so much at in my 20s, and then as I continued to grow, serving from a second seat. We all serve from a second seat. That's a longer story, but I realized how good I was at influencing people and listening and really just making sure that they had what they needed in order to serve at a higher level, because they're also serving other people. And so I often, and still even today, see myself in that seat, even though I'm the CEO of my own firm. But I'm serving someone, right? I'm
Yeah.
serving people, and it's to me, Dr. Williams, it's the best seat in the world. I can't. It's a feeling. It's a strategy, um, but it feeds my soul. It's probably the best way to say it. It feeds my soul. I coach people as well. And so I literally got my life coach certification. I became a master certified professional as well. And it just made sense that I would continue the journey that God put me on, with respect to helping other leaders see that they are great and knowing that they have a legacy to leave. And I've always felt that as a young and up and coming professional, to
So let me
serve
just
in a way that made sense.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. And I just really, you said two things at the beginning that really just kind of resonated with me. And I want to speak to the second year leaders who are listening, who are in that first couple of years of the journey. And you said
Yeah,
you had two skills, influencing and listening. And that's critical for an individual that serves in a second chair because that influencing side is kind of when you're saying influence, I'm assuming, I think you had the opportunity to influence the individual who was in that first chair or that first seat. And in that, you realize, "Wait a second, this is a gift."
yeah,
And what I don't want for somebody to listen and maybe thinking, "Oh, well, all I can do is influence," and I think it's important that that is a gift, and that's something that we can really lean into and say, "This is a
right.
powerful tool." Um, listening, how does listening make an impact for, somebody who's serving in the second seat?
Yeah, great question. So for me, I learn how to active listen. I was coached by another person that was a gift, an angel that came in my life. And she taught me how to just be and to listen intently about what's not being said. So as I continue to grow in that listening skill, I just would ask the questions about, things that weren't being said, either because they didn't feel like they were in a psychological safety type of a place that wasn't provided for them. Um, but when you begin to listen intently about what folks are not saying, that just, gives you more reason to listen further. And then you just ask the question, what are you not saying? What is it that you need me to know before I walk away from this conversation? The door of their heart just opens up. And they often will say, "Can we talk offline?" Because you have to earn the trust of people, and I did that very well in influencing and then listening to people. And it is a gift. It is a skill that, it's either innate or you begin to exercise, what we call muscles, right? Our brain muscles and things like that, our heart muscle. And when you begin to, see the person in front of you beyond what they're saying or what they're not saying, then you listen differently.
Mm.
You have more questions than responses.
So there's so many things I love to unpack, and I like the way that you're able to couch this. Number one, you identified you had a coach that you were willing to listen to somebody to kind of come alongside of you in the beginning. And then you are able to really, in a conversation, you're able to kind of draw out what some individuals are thinking just by asking questions. And I think that's so important. And I think, like you said, I love the idea that even if it's not a gift, it's something that you can grow and lean into so that at the end of the day, the person that you're serving or the individuals you're serving maximize their gifts and strengths. How did your your individuals in that first chair, the people that you're serving, how did they respond when you asked those questions, those probing questions?
So they were authentic in their responses. That's what every coach needs, right? Every person needs who is not even in a leadership role, right? You want the person to be authentic in their responses. I don't know if this is for your listeners, but I can smell the BS.
Yes,
And
yes,
and
very real.
so when you ask different questions because you heard something that wasn't said, um, you want them to trust you. Is
Mhm,
probably my best response is trust is everything. And when they do not trust you, they will not open up. You will find yourself interviewing people who are direct reports to them, or because I served in a second seat, people would always come to me as their confidant. Well, how do I approach her? Well, how do I approach him? And then I would ask the questions. Then why are you afraid to talk to the person?
mm,
You've been working with this individual for 20 years. Help me understand what you're afraid of. Then the door opens wide and they will spill the tea, as we say. And so I don't want to give people the impression that it was, I hated gossip mongering. So I would
mhm,
always ask for the facts. Well, tell me why you think that, because here I am. I put it in quotes, air quotes, if you will, protecting the person that I worked with. In every
mhm,
seat that I served in, there was someone above me who I reported to them. And so not only did I have to protect the person that I reported to or that I partnered with or a client, I had to also protect what the person who was sharing and what they were sharing with me so that they could go back and that they could be brave enough to have a conversation with their boss. Because I could have been interviewing, I could have been not interviewing, I could have been they would come to me as someone who could listen, right? Because they see a change in the person that they reported to, and they would come and they would say, "Patty, I don't know what you did, but she's different."
Mhm.
Or I would coach them in a way that they would go to the individual and ask the questions that they had differently. Well, how do you want to be treated? Is my question. Then you need to say that to the person that you report to. Say that to your boss. What you just said impacted me, and here's why. You don't do this like, unless you have in the moment type of a meeting and they just went off the rails, sort of. But you do it in your one-on-one. Find
Mhm.
time to speak with your manager or your executive leader to have that one-on-one. They want the feedback. They want to know how they're treating people. And if they're treating you poorly, trust me, you're not the only one. And so you begin to influence people in a way that they're brave enough now to go and ask the questions. Or is there something that is not present in their current role that they're not getting? And so they keep hitting up against this wall, and they'll keep hitting up against that wall until they actually talk to the person that is causing them to hit the wall.
So as you're talking, I'm just formulating this idea of this conduit of authenticity. Like we want to make sure that in our communication, whether it be somebody that's we're working beneath us or beside us, or the individual that we are reporting to, that in order to really get the best out of all sides is a level of authenticity.
Yeah,
That requires being able to analyze, "Oh, you're not saying that quite right," or "How can we be a little bit more clear?" And I can only imagine just in some of the experiences that I've had, that conversation would make things go so much better. I'm not gossiping. We're not just talking about you're bashing this person. You're not opening the door for individuals to
that's
just
right.
dump on you. But how can we really make some real change? And to do that, you had to ask some very difficult questions. And I think that's appropriate and even a strength for individuals that serve in the second tier, being able to be authentic and ask questions that allow individuals to be authentic.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, Dr. Williams, and for me, I'm not I'm the baby in my family, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I'm the one that caused the most disruption.
Not you, not you. I couldn't
I
I couldn't see
I
it.
own that. And
Okay.
so in my life, I'm the same way that I was when I was a 6-year-old girl
Mm.
who in high school, ninth grade, decided, "Oh, we don't have chocolate milk here at this high school? I'm sorry, this is a Catholic high school. We should be able to have chocolate milk." And I literally asked my dad at the time, "Dad, I need cartons of chocolate milk." You know, the crates
Yeah,
that they would
yes.
come in? And so I literally showed up on day 1 and I said, "Chocolate milk for sale." It's
Okay.
25 cents, right? And what I'm saying is that you have to do something so bold that other people notice and they will see you differently. So I say that because not only do I expect you to be honest, I expect that you are going to be and have a level of authenticity about who you are being and who you are becoming. Those are 2 different things, and we often wear a mask. Leaders and organizations often wear a mask. My mask never changed, ever.
Mm.
And as I was coaching people, I love feedback too. It's like, "Wow, I don't know how you do what you do, but I'm leaving here different than when I walked in." That's the time when there was no COVID, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there were offices. And so that's the level of authenticity that you need from people. Otherwise, you cannot help them. And you know,
Mm,
in a conversation, and you need to be able to say to that person, like I do, I'm not here to make you feel comfortable.
mm.
I'm here to challenge you, to see if you are brave enough, bold enough. Do you have the audacity to speak up for yourself? And so that I've always been that way. My parents taught that to me at 6 years old. So,
So you're an entrepreneur, you making money in high school. What you
right.
talking about? No, but I think being able to that level of disruption is being comfortable with not being comfortable. I think there's a certain assumption that some of the second seat or people that can meet have conversations with,
Yeah,
sometimes should assume that everything's going to go well. But what I'm hearing you say, and for our listeners, it's okay to have a little discomfort, to have a little things that are not necessarily going the right way. And I think in pushing through that it goes back to that level of authenticity comes out on the other side.
that's right. That's exactly right. Yep.
So let me ask you this. How do you differentiate between, okay, we all have an individual that we're serving, particularly somebody in that first seat. How do you balance between having a level of authenticity, but not trying to kiss up? I want things to be real, but the other side, I want their approval as well. How do you balance between that for somebody who may not necessarily be able to navigate that tightrope early in their career?
Yeah. So I ran into that a lot with emerging leaders.
Mhm.
They are afraid to stand up for themselves. And that's only because they don't have the words. It's
Mm,
only because they were never taught the words. They're not skilled enough and haven't had enough experiences to use we called it pushback. And so I would teach emerging leaders, well, what do you want to say? Then tell me why you just can't say that. Oh,
mhm,
I don't know what they're going to say, or it doesn't matter. It's a space between you and someone else, and you have to be able to push back. And so I say that because there was a time when I worked, I had a business partner who is my best friend to this day, right? And people could not read her,
mm,
but I knew everything, right? And so they would come and they would get the advice and they say, Patty, what do I say? What do I say? And I said, well, here's what she expects. Be real with her. If you ever heard her in a staff meeting, she would use certain words and see it wraps right back around to listening. What
mm,
is she not saying? What did she say? And how do you, on an individual level, communicate with that individual in a way that you're going to be seen, you're going to be heard, because now you're getting ready to mirror back her own words to her. And so that was the advice I would give folks about my own business partner. And she was okay with that. Patty, I need you to talk to the people. I
yeah,
understood what that meant. It meant I can't do this alone. I can't build this culture alone. I can't, you know, be the person who is constantly taking, the blows, if you will, from the culture that we're building. And so I would shape people in a way that, oh, Lisa's not going to go for that. And let me tell you why.
mm.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, it does, and as you're talking, it reminded me of a portion of, the book that I wrote, How to Be a Scotty in the Michael Jordan World, the idea of on the court, you have to have somebody that's gonna echo what the coach is saying. And I
yeah,
hear you interpreting what your leader's saying and how to put it in language that everybody else can understand so that everybody's speaking the same language.
yeah,
And I think that's so important so that the vision is not missed. And I think for that second chair leader that's watching this episode, like being able to not just the word is not redefine, but being able to share it or communicate that vision in a different language, in a palatable language that individuals can understand, and then it be a part is that's gold, for any leader that is able to do that. That's
Yeah.
huge in that mission. And I love your ability to be able to identify it, bring it out, and like you said, go talk to the people and make a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. We make life so hard when we're in the workplace. And we have to remember as leaders, people come to work on Zoom, in person, with all of their life,
Yeah.
right? They didn't say, oh, I need to leave this at home today. No, they're showing up as their full selves. You don't know what's going on, but you can pick up on what people are saying when there's maybe a round robin, if you will, on a one word and how people are feeling. You often wonder, did you hear the person's one word? Because I would write down their one word and I would follow up with them and say, oh, I heard your one word today was confused. I heard your one word today was exhilaratingly happy, right? So I would want to know more. And
So
to
hold on
me,
real quick.
that's,
For,
yeah,
for people that don't know that, you're getting real deep. I want to make we go in a master class serving in the second seat. One of the things you're saying, teach us about or tell me about what does that look like, that one word scenario? It seems like you do this on a regular basis with your team.
yeah. So what we used to do at the firm, I don't do it now because I'm a solo entrepreneur, but I still do it in my coaching. If you had one word to describe how you're feeling today, what would that be?
Mm,
And then some people would say, well, Patty, I got 3 words. Like, okay, not a problem. And so once they name that one word or the few words that they wanted to describe how they're feeling, because in my opinion, before you start any meeting, you want to know the sentiment around the room.
mm,
That helps you as a leader read the room, right? I've done this in board meetings. Tell me your one word and how everybody's feeling today.
mm.
Instead of just diving right into the meat of the agenda, be human for a second. Acknowledge that the world is really screwed up right now.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that um, these folks saw the news the way you saw the news. And what's your one word and how you're feeling today? I had people cry
Mm.
describing their one word. You could see it, you could feel it in a Zoom room of all places,
Wow.
right? And so I also learned that through there were some really good people in my life before I left the firm, and they taught me how to be inclusive. How do you be inclusive and bring everyone into a room so that there is what I call psychological safety,
Hmm.
right? What comes to the Zoom room stays in the Zoom room, but Patty will follow up with you if she hears something that's a little off, right? Or maybe this person has more to share. And so I would often just call the person. And I just think that's so important is to understand how people are feeling, what their sentiment is, because somebody in that room, if there's 50 people in a room, in a Zoom room, you best believe some of them are multitasking. Some of them are
Mm,
thinking about what happened in the kitchen that morning. Some of them are recovering from whatever happened last night. And so you're looking for that authentic behavior from these individuals so that you can push forward with the agenda. But for me, that's important to know what people are feeling before you start any meeting, just like you did, right?
mm,
There was a space between us that was so important. I
mm,
didn't expect you to do that, but it shifted who I was in that moment because you prayed.
mm,
I've done that when I used to do searches for their name is escaping me now. They are a faith-based, I probably shouldn't say their name, but they're a faith-based institution. Before every meeting, even a full-blown conference, they pray,
Mm. Mhm.
right? So that's the sentiment of having a bona fide reason as to why you wanna work there,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you have to have some sort of faith base, or faith in your life, right? I don't think they hire atheists, just saying,
yeah. No, I
but
think it's
that's what
so
they do. You see what
yeah.
I mean? So
I love that because you're able what you've kinda identified is just being able to take that to get real with the person, just taking time to say, "Listen, I see you. You're important. I value how you're dealing with," and that colors how they shape, how they perform, how they show up. I can imagine folks are like, "Oh man, Patty sees me," even if this is Zoom, millions of Zoom meetings or different meetings
yeah,
to be seen, and that allows real work to be done. I think the hard work of showing up and making an impact. And so I just want to
yeah,
affirm you. I love that. And as we're talking, I'm making mental. Okay, I have a meeting. I literally have a meeting tomorrow with my staff. How can I make sure I should show up and be intentional about their
yeah.
one
How many people on your staff?
day it is. We have a regular staff meeting. We have about maybe several pastors, and we have 5 states that we cover. So
Okay,
we have Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, and the northwest part of Florida. And so
okay.
we sometimes get together. We're planning for our summer meeting. We call camp meeting. So it can be quite a bit, but I
Yeah,
think just on a regular basis, we have about 20, 25 that we're in the office, and that makes a huge difference of being able to say, "Hey, listen, I see you. I notice you. How are you experiencing life?"
yeah,
That allows people to have those real conversations, circling back to that listening, being authentic, and creating those safe spaces.
that's it. Yeah. There is, if you have time, there
Mhm,
is a short 3-minute video, I believe it's 3 minutes or less, that you should probably watch. And I stumbled upon it. I don't know how. I know why. But as soon as I listened to it, it shifted me, like, for in that moment, I was shifted, but I'm constantly living, my life through experiences that other people are sharing.
mm,
So it's the same thing, right? It's, if you type in "Soy bono," right?
mhm,
I don't know if you heard that when you were on your travels. And it means I see you, right? I
mm,
see you. And there is a reply, and I believe it's in that same YouTube video. And I was like, wow, what if we can be that individual that goes around, runs meetings, and could literally have experiences through what someone else is sharing?
mm,
And it's about that's what "soyubono" means. It means sobono means "I see you." That's it. It's so simple. And because of you, I live, not vicariously, but I see the experiences that you have experienced, and I I can relate to that. So,
Well, I love that personal approach, and as you're talking, I do remember hearing that, and matter of fact, what I want you to do what we'll do is for once you if we can identify what that video is, I'll put it in the show notes so the individuals can just kinda click on it and watch it down there. Now, let me ask you, I wanna shift gears. You spent 24 years serving in that second seat, with your business partner, and now you shifted and went, as a solo entrepreneur and solopreneur. How was that? Explain the nerves to that and just share what you do now in this phase of your journey.
yeah, so I started my own business. I've always been an entrepreneur all my life. And I started this business in officially in 2025, in January of 2025. And I focus on coaching, leadership development, and serving as a thought partner with leaders across associations, nonprofits, social enterprises here in Los Angeles, But I do take on other clients from, across the world, if you will. It just depends on, what they need.
Mhm.
And I wanted to just keep going, Dr. Williams, because I'm not done yet.
Mm.
I'm not finished, right? And only God can say to me when you're done, right?
Mm.
And so when I started this, it was scary. I'm out on my own in California we've
Yes.
only been here, my family and I, for 4 years, and I want this to work. And so
Mhm.
I slowly see things working now, right? Because you have to be consistent, right? You have to still pour your heart into what gives you life and what fills
Mhm.
your soul. And this fills my soul to know that I can continue to be the coach. I continue to serve from a second seat in helping other leaders uh, be bold and audacious, right? And so I started my business out focused on executive search.
Mhm.
And then literally when I think it was in March, it may have been late February, I realized my heart wasn't in executive search. Not like it used to be. Like I was all gun ho about, you know, identifying leaders who would make a change in another organization,
Mhm.
right? And I said to myself, and I said, God speaks to me in my heart, right? And so when I just put it out there, right? I said, how can I continue to serve in a way that will still lift leaders up in a way that I have been doing my entire um, 24 plus career, right? And the answer was simple: coaching, train leaders to be better humans,
Mhm.
and working with boards. Because if you want to make a shift in the lives of others, you can do that not having to focus on executive search, the placement itself. But what happens to that leader once they're on board? And so I was the girl who never would place someone and not check in on them. 2 weeks,
Mm.
3 weeks,
Mhm.
6 months in, 3 months in, 6 months in, 1 year in. And if I heard something that didn't sit right with me, I would be coaching people for free. Which I was okay with, but why not make an entire business about it? Because that's who I am now. And, gone are the days when you just do something for money, right?
Yeah.
Because the money will come. When you do what you love, the money will come. And I've never focused on the money, right? I now focus on who in my life, who is going to walk in my path and I can make a difference in their life. So
Patty, that's
generally, when people
huge.
leave a conversation, when I coach them, have I impacted your life in any way today? That's a tough question to answer. And you're done with the conversation.
Yeah.
I have never, they would literally either repeat back to me what their homework was going to be, or I would know because of the sentiment that's happening in that safe space that I create for people. And they would just tell me, "No one has ever shared with me the way you have shared with me." It's just questions, Dr. Williams. I'm just
You
asking questions.
but
Coaches
it's the
ask
way
questions. I'm not a
yeah.
therapist. They
But
ask questions.
it's the way that, it's I love just as listening to you, I can envision if I were in a coaching session with you. I know I'm getting somebody that sees me, somebody who's gonna be authentic with me, somebody who's gonna listen. As people are talking, I'm sure they're asking, "Are you still taking coach?" Or can people that listen to this, can they connect with you so that you can be a part of your at least have a session, at least have a conversation with you to see if they're fit for your coaching. Are you still
That's
taking
it.
individuals now?
I am. Yeah, I have a few lined up already, and I I know when people have to make a decision or when a leader has told them that they need a coach.
Mm,
So it's a little different, right? But yes, I am taking on individuals, executive leaders as well. I do anyone from who is an executive assistant all the way through executive board members who have a leader in place, but they've never had a coach. And you use the right word, quote unquote, fit, right? So
mhm.
I call it match, but some people call it a fit. You're absolutely right. Coaching is a personal choice. And you have to be able to match, I like to call it match that energy
Yes.
with the person. And if that energy doesn't match, the coaching isn't going to go well. And you will know from the first visit. But you have to be brave enough as a coach, right? Because you
Mhm.
coach too, right?
Yes,
You have
ma'am.
to be brave enough to say, this is not going to be a good match for me, for us. And let me tell you why.
Mm. Again, that goes back to having those difficult conversations.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this, for people who are listening, how can they identify, how can they connect with you? Where can they go to learn if they are had that good energy match?
Yes, so they can go to my website, which is New Soul Partners. It's NOUSSOLE partners.com, and they can schedule time with me there. They can also browse my website. My wonderful husband has updated it because I did away with executive coaching. And so it's brand new, it's fresh, it looks brilliant. I don't like the way it
Mhm.
looks on the mobile, but it's okay. But
Listen, I
yeah,
just
so
got
they can
looked at it.
get
It's
to me
great.
there. Yeah, and if anybody needs like a one pager, I don't have those up on the website, but they can always just send me a quick email as well. And that's Patty at newsoulpartners.com.
Both of those are gonna be your website, and also your email will be in the show notes so they can slide down there and check it out. But
Okay,
one
good.
last thing, what is one last, nugget that you wanna share with this individual that's serving second that you can make sure they're learning, leaning, growing, and being their authentic selves?
Well, that's a wonderful, wonderful question. What do I leave people with, right?
Yes.
I would say this is gonna hurt, but it's not about you.
Yeah.
What you do is not about you. It's always about the people you serve.
Mm,
So who are you serving in the role that you have? That's your focus. That's your strategy. That's your community. That's the change you have to make, right? And I say have to because you're not just in the job just to be in the job, right? You have to want to make the change and see the change happen. And it's because of you, right? So there's the you in it, right? But
mhm.
every person who is serving, right, from a second seat, it's not about them. It's about the person sitting right in front of you, the client that has, $15 million dollars in the bank, and all of a sudden it's been drained because they need to do more fundraising.
Mm.
So it's never about you, the person who is the program manager or the executive director. It's beyond that, right? So that's what I want to leave people with, and that's harsh, but it's
No,
not
it's
about
real.
them. It's
You know,
real. It's about who you serve. Who you serve, who are you being, and what is the change that you want to see because you were serving in that role.
family, listen, this has been a masterclass of authenticity, how to make sure that you see life beyond yourself. And it kind of leads us to our time, our theme, our focus, that the mission I serve is bigger than my title. And family, this is the reason why serving second is so important, because we connect you with people like Miss Patty Hampton, who's doing a phenomenal job out in California and is willing to coach individuals that fit. But I love just her authenticity, her ability to be real. And just know that when you're able to use your gifts, when you're able to use the things things God has given you. He'll put you in places and spaces with people that are like-minded that you can continue to grow with, you continue to use your gifts with, and make an impact wherever you are. This is the Serving Second podcast. We're so glad you came and listened to us, connected with us, and we look forward to sharing this with you. So if you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with another leader that you know is serving in a second sheet, and make sure that you connect with us moving forward. Take care and God bless.